have you talked yourself into Belichick or Vrabel yet?
I can't tell you how ready I am to hand this entire team to Bill Belichick. I can't even begin to describe how quickly I would hand Dexter Lawrence to Bill Belichick. I sprint. Give me, whatever, sure.
Belichick is on a 6-month trying to prove to everybody what an awesome personality he is and that it's actually not true that he's a curmudgeon. And here's how much I know about football and look how personable I am. Also, he can get one of these jobs in February. I think he likes Dayball. I think that part's probably awkward. And it feels like for the Giants, it would have to be a complete house cleaning, right? It's like they've gotten rid of everybody. I still feel like Jacksonville is going to be the team for him.
I think that makes a lot of sense because the Jaguars, I mean, they did it with Tom Coughlin, right? They gave Tom Coughlin total control of the organization. I think they're building a new arena. Like you just be like, you hand the franchise to this guy. He's a legend. Here's our new arena. Here's Bill Belichick. Here's Trevor Lawrence. Does that make sense to you?
It would make more sense to me if he was a big golf guy because there's an incredible resort. Sea Island is right, like less than an hour away. Yeah. Like respectfully, I'll say this as it means you have to go live in Jacksonville.
Wow.
I think that was like Talladega Nights with all due respect. You just say whatever you want.
Anytime respectfully or all due respect is used. Ruiz called out the Belichick-Jacksonville thing. I don't know how many weeks ago on this pod. The other one, which would be fun from a narrative standpoint, is Vegas with just like him and Brady being reunited in some weird way with no Kraft. But
Belichick being Brady, having Brady be his boss, I don't know if that's going to happen. I have a question for you.
That's a fun narrative one. I can't imagine after what Belichick went through with Cam Newton and with Mac Jones, that he would go to a team that didn't have a quarterback. Like, look at what happened with Harbaugh. Harbaugh went to a team that had good players and a good market with Justin Herbert as his quarterback. And he had an offensive line and he could immediately make that team pretty good. I think Belichick's too smart to be like, we'll figure out the quarterback. He knows.
Here's my question for you. What do you think he wants? Because this is like a Phil Jackson thing where he kind of wants control, but like, he's kind of like a check as you're going out. Or do you think that there's like real motivation and that like we'll see a level of energy we probably have never seen from his 70-year-old coach?
I think chip on the shoulder combined with the wins record. So he's got to go to a place where he can put together wins. I don't think he wants to rebuild something from the bottom.
But like, what does he need? 18 wins in 2 years? Like that doesn't sound great to me. Like if he's like, we've eked out 3 10-win seasons and lost in the wild card round, and then he retires. I don't know if that's like necessarily awesome for someone who has literally zero track record of any of his coaches having any kind of like legacy whatsoever.
Dallas?
You beat me to it. Why not?
Zero chance. I would.
Why?
I will. No, zero chance.
Let's gamble on it.
I will serve.
I'll buy you a veal chop.
I will serve drinks at your draft. Like I'll be like Cabana Boy if that
it's
happens.
An auto
like,
draft. I don't have any drafts.
2.5 minutes. No, but like basically like Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if you saw this great story from Kalen Collar at ESPN this week, but basically like just to give you a window into Jerry Jones's mind, they have tours going through the facility. Just to like Marka Parsons is limping with his family through the Cowboys facility. There's like visitors who pay. They're making like $1,200 off this to like have people watch. And there's like fans like, oh my God, Micah Parsons doesn't look good. Like it's the opposite of the Kremlin. And then the whole reason Jerry screwed up is because Jimmy Johnson got all the credit for the 90s Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson was the how about them Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson got all the credit. The entire last 20 years has been Jerry trying to get his own credit. That's why he didn't want Bill Parcells.
Sounds like Bob Kraft.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that, like the Bob Kraft making the doc. That's every move Jerry's made for 20 years has been like that. And Parcells is not going to tell Belichick to take that job. And I just, there's no way that Jerry can let Belichick get the credit, make decisions. It's like Jerry wants to get attention and get all the control and all the attention for having control. I think Belichick would sit out another season before he took the Dallas job.
The credit thing is so weird to me when people. Like Kraft hired Belichick. That's all he did. There's no other thing he gets credit for. He kept the team in New England instead of them moving to St. Louis. He didn't move them to Hartford, and he hired Bill Belichick. There's no other thing I can point to that he did other than be cheap the last 10 years. Jerry hired Jimmy Johnson. He gets credit for that. He built that awesome stadium. Great. But other than that, they've just been another football team the last 20 years. House went through this with Snyder. These guys that come in and think people care about the owner. They don't. They just want the team to be good. That's it. I think. Can I read you a stat that might color this conversation?
Please.
Bill Belichick has 302 wins. How many do you think Andy Reid is behind right now?
15, 20.
He's at 266, so he's 36 behind. But you figure 6, 7 more, right? They're 8-0. They get to 15-2. So he'll be at 273. He'll be within 30 by the end of the year. And he is 1958. And Belichick is 1952. He's 6 years younger. That's another reason. I don't. That's why I don't think he goes to like, oh, I've taken over the Panthers. Like he's got to go to a team that he can actually win games the way Harbaugh did.
That's a good point, because it's kind of like Popovich with getting Wembanyama, where it's like Reed's going to do this till he's in the grave. Like he's not like until Mahomes goes. Like,
why would he leave?
Chance. No, I would. No,
also, Reed's smarter than everybody. Everybody out. Like Reed is like, you know what I'll do here? I'll just take the field goal. I'll take the 3 points so we can go up 7. I have Patrick Mahomes. Like he doesn't overthink any of this shit.
And the Chiefs actually have a Patriots-like infrastructure, because I think I think there's a weird thing going on in the NFL right now where there's assumption that youth brings new ideas. And in reality, sometimes youth brings new ideas, but you can also bring the cowardice to stand out. And I think one really interesting thing that the Chiefs have is that Andy Reid is the perfect coach, CEO, play caller, stability. Mahomes is Mahomes, and they work together. The other thing they have going for them is that Steve Spagnuolo is as innovative as any defensive coordinator in the NFL. And if he were 39, everyone would say, hire Steve Spagnuolo to be your head coach. But he's like 58. So no one wants to hire Steve Spagnuolo, even though, because he was
he's also been a head coach.
15 years ago.
Yeah, and he wasn't good.
That was in 2009. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, like there were the other guys being interviewed were in high school in 2009. Like he's had an entire another career. He's the only coordinator that's ever won 4 Super Bowls. And it's crazy to think Steve Spagnuolo's not going to get another job. And so the Chiefs have this infrastructure of Brett Veach, the GM, Andy Reid, Mahomes, and Spagnuolo for, I don't know, 7-8 years. And they're old, but they're still innovating. And so it's everything you need. And they're not going to get disrupted.
That's what the Pats had. Well, House just went through it. He hired a new coach for the Washington Seawards. Quinn came in. He wasn't Ron Rivera. That was first good thing. He actually had a good quarterback, second good thing. But you can see like he's definitely changed the energy. That was what he did with the Dallas defense too when he was there. That's what he did in Atlanta for a few years. But he's like a big chemistry, vibes, motivational, dropping F-bombs guy, right, House? Like he's
1,000%, 1,000
You love Dan
F-bombs.
Quinn.
Oh, I couldn't love him anymore. And the thing that matters is how relevant he is to these players, right? He stole some Dallas guys. He brought Dorrance Armstrong over, who is, if you look at the disruption rates for Armstrong, he's in the proper court. He's where you want him to be. But Dan Quinn, they're playing for him. Schefter did a report last week about Washington being a desirable place for free agents. What? Washington, this place, the football team? Yes, because of Dan Quinn.
I thought that was a weird report.
Okay, well, it's fine. I'm just saying the fact that
do you
it
honestly
existed.
think NFL players are just sitting around going, man, what are the most desirable play? Like it's like we would do a podcast, like 2 wide receivers in the wide receiver room going, what are your top 5 free agent destinations? Oh, Washington looks like they have a good thing going. I don't know where that stuff comes from.
I actually 1,000% think that's what wide receivers do, is just look around and look at the greener grass all the time. They're like NBA players. They're just like, oh, it'd be so cool if I play. It's like, I'd be so cool if I played with Dame Lillard. Then you play with Dame Lillard, you're like, oh, this kind of sucks.
But that's the thing. I'm sure they watch Jaden Daniels on the Red Zone or on NFL.com, and they're like, man, that guy's good.
Dude,
I'd rather have him than Gardner Minshew.
House, did you see what Neighbors said last week?
No, what'd he say?
They just asked Neighbors, because obviously Neighbors and Jaden Daniels were really good friends at LSU. And then they're like, hey, how do you feel about, that guy? He's like, yeah, that guy. I mean, what a winner. What a football. He's going to go out there and compete. And every single time, it's hard to beat that guy. It's, wow, what an amazing guy to play with. And he just like looks up and I'm, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, it's like, of course he's thinking, I wish I'd play with Jaden Daniels instead of Daniel Jones.
Well, part of it for sure. Also, Washington will be in a ton of primetime games next year. Like if you want to be a player that's on a stage, you're going to get a stage with this Washington, knocking on wood. I mean, obviously, we never take anything for granted.
Would you rather be the Giants or the Cowboys next 5 years?
Wow, definitely the Giants. Because I think that they are going to continue to. Jerry Jones is singularly the most important player in the NFC East because he will continue. It's exactly what Danny said. He doesn't give a shit about winning football games. What he cares about is asses in seats, and it just gets crazier and crazier. It's phenomenal. I love that guy so much.
Jerry built the NFL, and I think people forget the Cowboys are a side project for a guy whose main job is to make $20 billion in revenue a year for the NFL. And then also he's older than Joe Biden, which it seems relevant. And then two, and then to bring this all together, Jerry's a fantasy football owner, where it's like good owners are like Bob Kraft hired Belichick, got out of the way. The Hunt family, who just hired Andy Reid, got out of the way. Jerry could do that, but instead he wants to tinker with the roster, right? He wants to do all this stuff. So yeah,
he wants to be on camera every week. He's talking. What the fuck are you doing on camera?
I think my new favorite is Mark Davis, who after the season, I think we'll be paying 3 coaches that aren't coaching his team, which might be a record, right? Gruden, McDaniels, and then Antonio Pierce. So have 3 ex-coaches.
David Tepper had the record. He was paying.
He had Rule. He had Frank Reich. This new
Ron
guy.
Rivera. I think Matt Rule took a job at Nebraska, so I think that offset it. But yeah, there was at one point. The NFL sent a memo to the owners saying, "Please, we're losing $900 million a year to active coaches." Like basically, it was like David Tepper, please stop firing people. But they had to send it to everyone. But it was like 4 coaches on his payroll at the same time.